Hello friends, good morning. So today we are going to be working with Pajama Crafter Stamps and this really fun kind of spring stamp set called Where Hope Blooms. And I loved the images, the spring images in the stamp set. And in looking at it, I decided to use kind of an oldie but a goodie technique of repeating images. And you see this done a lot, especially with die cuts, but you can also do it with stamps. And it's simple and very effective. So this, I just used the flower to make a repeating image. Now you can see here that I've pulled a die out of my stash that kind of gives me quadrants. You don't have to have quadrants to do this technique. I just thought it paired well. But today this was a card that I made for our Instagram hop a week or so ago. And so you may have seen it before. This is not the card that we're going to make today, but I thought we'd take this card and look at ways that you can jazz it up even more, like little things you can do to add extra, to take this to the next level. So I thought that would be fun. So let me go ahead and grab some of the things that I have ready for us. Oh, you know what? Let me tell you about the paper pad too. I'm going to be using the Emerald Isle paper, and I just thought a lot of these greens would work perfectly with my kind of spring vibe that I wanted to create. Okay, so getting all the parts here. So I do have a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 panel cut down, and I just used a dark green for that. I cut this one to 4 by 5 1/4, and this is one of our Emerald Isle papers. And then I am using that same quadrant die, and for each of these, this one is already 2 layers thick, and then for this one, I'm going to go ahead and glue it there, and the total will be 4 layers. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. And like I said, you could do this technique with or without the outline quadrant die. You could, I'll kind of go over that on the next step, but you could also choose a die that had 6 little quadrants or 9 quadrants, or you know, I have a 4 sectioned one here, but or even different shapes. It could be circles. You know, this idea of a repeating image can be used in lots of different ways. So it's a really kind of fun technique that can be done with die cuts and stamps that is a very effective way of displaying them. Excuse me. All right, I'm going to go ahead and glue this one in place. There you go. So it would be fine to stop right here. You could easily and I don't have this glued down yet on purpose. So you could stop right here and just put your images like I did on this card. Put your repeating image in the quadrants, put your sentiment on, and call it done. But if you wanted to jazz it up, here's an idea for you. So when you make your quadrants, you can make a background for each one. And on this one, I have gone ahead and run all of my little quadrants through an embossing folder. So that's one way that you can really kind of take it to the next level, is by adding some embossing. You could also stencil on the background. That would add another look back there. So these are just, I'm going to go ahead and take this off because we're going to do something later, so I don't want it glued down. But I'm going to go ahead and put my pieces right here. And so on each of the 4 quadrants here, I've added some, did that shift? Look at that, it shifted. Now, that's all right, we can't move it now, it's already adhered. But I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on these before we put them all in place. There we go. Got them in there really good. There we go. You could also do some ink blending to give some interest to your little background. Now, let's say you weren't using quadrant. You could cut yourself a shape to be part of, like put a circle behind each one or a square. If you look on like Pinterest or websites and blogs, you will see this idea. You'll start recognizing it. It's like I said, an oldie but a goodie, an idea that's been around for a long time, but it's very, very effective. And it's a fun way to utilize some of those little stamps that'll be in a stamp set that are not necessarily the main star of the show. Yeah, that shifted. See, my outline's off, but I'll have to run with it because that's all I've got. So on this one, I used the yellow flower, but for this card, we're going to use some our little ladybugs. And another way that I thought it would be fun to jazz this up is to add some ribbon. So what I'm going to do is we are going to add some foam to the back of this. Cut this off. So you can see this is pretty much one-dimensional, except I did put a little bit of foam just on my flowers and sentiment. But on this one, we're going to pop up this whole panel. A little bit more. All right, now you may notice I made sure I left it open right here because this is where we're going to add our string around the back. And so to do that, I'm going to grab myself some double-sided adhesive. Just going to put that right there on the back. Now the way I want to do this is to just kind of wrap it around. So I'm going to put my string right there on the tape. And then I want to just kind of wrap it around. And I think I want a good, I think that's pretty good. It gives us a dimension. Now, when I put my sentiment on, it's going to gather those together there in the middle, which is what I want. Just kind of moving those. So now I'm just going to take this and put it right there in that same, making sure it's all adhered on that double-sided adhesive that I put back there, and then trim off the little end. So there we have our string in place. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to attach this to our background. Let's see if I can get this one a little more square. I'm so sad that that shifted on me. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so I also, on our Happy Spring, I have gone ahead and added some foam on this as well, rather than it just being one layer. So I am going to grab a little bit of foam tape, and just on the top and bottom, I want it to kind of straddle my string here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to take a little piece of this foam, or this double-sided adhesive tape, and I'm going to put it right there in the center. And what I want is for this string that I've put there to kind of be attached and held in place so it doesn't move around. Sorry, I'm having trouble getting that off of there. It's unusual. This usually comes off super easy. Something's not right. We're just going to get a different piece. I don't know what the deal is with that. That's messed up somehow. I didn't know that was possible, but we're going to get a whole new piece. There we go. There we go. Okay. And I am going to put that right there. All right, so the only thing left for this card is to add our ladybugs, and I think I kind of want them all angled just like this. So now sometimes what's fun to do with this repeating image is instead of doing all 4 ladybugs, I could have one that is something different. Or sometimes if you're doing like a grid of like 9, let's say, you can have one of them, either the center or a corner, be your sentiment. So there's lots of different ways you can kind of play with this. It gives you a lot of room for just creativity to give it your own little spin. But I find I really like the cards that I do this way. I think they turn out really pleasing to the eye as far as balance and construction of the card goes. I find them to be very rewarding and fun to make. So there we go. We've got our bloom, and I don't know if you noticed on this, but I did on the center of my flowers, I added some crystal lacquer and some glitter. So that's another way you can jazz them up. So I'm not going to do that on this one. I kind of thought about adding some crystal lacquer to the polka dots on the wings, but then I thought I don't want to do the face and the body, so I don't know. I'll have to decide. I may come back and do that, but we'll see. But anyway, there's just some ideas for you on how to use a repeating image on your card. And it's just a fun thing to do sometimes. So if this is a technique that you kind of forgot about, you might want to pull it out of your back pocket and give it a try again. All right. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I will list this fun set below the video if you're interested in that. And I hope you have a wonderful day. I look forward to crafting with you again very soon. Bye-bye.